cranial menenges, there are 3 connective tissue membranes around the brain. They separate the soft brain tissue from the bones of the cranium. They enclose and protect blood vessels that supply the brain. Contain and circulates CSF, which is some sort of fluid, but I don't know what. The first cranial menenge, the pia mater, stands for affectionate mother. It's delicate, areolar CT, very tightly attached to the surface of the brain, sticking to its contours. Superficial to the pia mater is the arachnoid mater. It's named for the arachnoid trabeculae, which is the web-like mesh of collagen and elastic fibers that extend from the arachnoid mater to the pia mater. There's also some subarachnoid space, but I can't read that slide. Arachnoid granulations are the clusters of finger-like protrusions of arachnoid tissue. The dura mater is the outermost layer of the cranial menenges. It's tough fibrous CT and it's composed of 2 layers. The first layer, the deeper layer, is the meningeal layer. And then on top of that is the periosteal layer, which is more superficial and it's attached to the bones of the cranium. Usually these layers are fused together. Subdural space is the potential space between the dura mater and arachnoid mater. Normally contains only small amounts of serous fluid. And a subdural hematoma is when the subdural space becomes an actual space when blood fills it. For the dura mater, in some places, the 2 dural layers separate to form large blood-filled spaces called dural venous sinuses. These drain blood from the brain and transport CSF. All veins draining blood from the brain empty into the dural venous sinuses, which then empty into the internal jugular veins. The falx cerebri is the meningeal layer of the dura mater that folds in and attaches to the crista galli of the ethmoid bone. It lies in the falx cerebri lies in the longitudinal fissure, and it helps hold the brain in place. For the dural venous sinus, we have the superior sagittal sinus, and this is the largest dural venous sinus formed by the falx cerebri, the superior sagittal sinus. And look at all these pictures too. You're going to need to look at these pictures, Kylie. Spinal cord menenges. Same 3 connective tissue membranes, dura mater, arachnoid mater, and pia mater. The epidural space, it's a space above the dura mater. It has spinal nerve roots, blood vessels, areolar, and adipose CT. The spinal cord menenges, superficial to deep. Epidural space to the dura mater, to the subdural space, to arachnoid mater, to subarachnoid space, which has CSF, to the pia mater, to the spinal cord. Ventricles of the brain and cerebrospinal fluid. Ventricles are chambers within the brain that are continuous with each other, and they produce and contain cerebrospinal fluid, CSF. Where does CSF come from? It's made in the choroid plexus of each ventricle. It is made from blood plasma that is then filtered by the blank. It's covered by something. CSF is a clear, colorless fluid. It circulates in the ventricles and subarachnoid space. It flows around the brain and spinal cord. The function: the brain floats in it, supporting 95% of its weight so it doesn't sink through the foramen magnum. It protects the brain and spinal cord by cushioning them during movements. It transports nutrients and clears metabolic waste. The ventricles of the brain. There are 4 ventricles of the adult brain. One is in each cerebral hemisphere. 2 total. Those are lateral ventricles. 2 total lateral ventricles. 1 is in each cerebral hemisphere. The 3rd ventricle is in the diencephalon. Looks like it says the 2 thalami form the walls of the diencephalon. I'm not sure. The 4th ventricle is between the pons and the cerebellum and extending into the superior part of the medulla oblongata. The cerebral aqueduct connects the 3rd and 4th ventricles. The 4th ventricle is continuous with the central canal of the spinal cord. Okay, there's a flow of CSF, but this slide is covered, so I'm going to watch a YouTube video of the flow of CSF through the ventricles. CSF in the subarachnoid space goes through the arachnoid granulations and enters into the dural venous sinuses. From here, it goes back into veins and blood circulation. Okay, so that looks like it's part of the flow, so we're going to just have to watch a YouTube.